To create an assessment in myALLSAINTS, you first need to go to the class page at which you're making an assessment for. Then you go to Assignments. It's very similar to setting up an assignment, there's just more options, and you get to build the questions in. So over to the right, we'll click on Assessment. A key thing to remember is just because it says assessment, that does not have to be formal. It can be informal. It can just be a regular assignment that you want to provide through myALLSAINTS rather than a sheet of paper or any other means. So this is a video on assessments, whatever the name of your assessment is. How many points do you want it to be worth? You have two options. You can divide them equally by the question or assign points per question. You can also give a time limit that you want them to complete the assessment in. There's also a feature that you can allow multiple attempts. So say that you have 20 questions and a student sees that they missed 5. You can allow them to retake it and in order to help improve their grade. You also have an option to list one question at a time, so only one question appears on the screen, or you can list all the questions down just as one column. I find that if I have questions that have multiple parts, like 1A, 1B, 1C, I like them listed all together so the students can refer to the previous parts of the question if needed for the other part. Otherwise, you can just do one at a time. You can randomize questions. If you have students taking the assessment at the same time, this is a way to help randomize what order the questions are that they are getting. So if you have 20 questions, I might be on question number 2 as my very first question, but someone else could be using the 6th question as their first question. It just randomizes their order. If you have questions that build off of one another, randomizing the questions probably not a good option. You can allow students to save for later. This allows them to work on it, press save, and come back to it at a later time. So it just depends on what part or what features you want to give them. You choose what kind of assignment type it is, and then the day that you want it to appear and the day that it's due. One thing to remember is right here you have a time at which it's assigned. Right now it says 3:40 p.m. That means students will not have access to take this assessment until the afternoon. So if you want that day to be when they can start on it, I would suggest changing the time to earlier in the day. Now we save and add questions. So here's where we put a description of what the assessment is. It also tells the student how much time they have if you've given a time limit. Now, up here at the top, it tells you that this assessment can no longer be modified once students are in the process of taking it. If you need more time to edit the assessment, we recommend changing your assigned date and time found in Edit Settings. If I'm creating this right now and allowing students to work on it, once a student logs in and clicks to take the assessment, I no longer can edit the assessment. On to the questions. So you have 4 types of questions that you can do. You have essay, that's like free response, fill in the blank, multiple choice, and true and false. So you just drag what type of question you want. And then here you can go ahead and type in what the prompt is that you want them to answer, and they get to answer it, in sentences and such. You can put a character limit on it, so if you want them to be nice and concise and detailed with their information, I would put a character limit on here. Besides typing a prompt, you have 3 other options. You can do an audio clip, so maybe in Spanish, you're wanting them to hear something and then respond. As long as you have the audio clip already saved on your computer, you can go and reference it. You can also embed a link. So if you have a video, like say from YouTube or something, when you go to share, I can embed. So I can copy this link or the code, put the code in, and save it. And then now when I type my prompt, it's going to be describe the position time graph, whatever it is that you're needing. So right here I have an embedded item. So that's what an essay question looks like. You also have fill in the blank. So fill in the blank, you can do the same thing. You have different ways or different medias you can use. So I can add a photo as long as you have the photo already on your computer. So I'm going to select a photo from my desktop. So now that the photo is there, we can provide the fill in the blank question. So in the position versus time graph, the particle is moving blank at t equals 3. So now I'm putting in my acceptable answers. Moving right, or you could say away, whatever your acceptable answers are, just each of them need to be separated by a comma. So that's fill in the blank. Then we have multiple choice. So multiple choice, as you see here, it kind of went in as question 2. You can always drag it up or down to reorganize them. So for multiple choice, you can fill in whatever the prompt is. It's White's favorite color is and you can add it really as many answer choices as you want. And then you select what the correct answer is. You also have the option to select multiple correct answers if that suits your situation. Again, you can also add media to any of these. The last one is true and false. And then whatever the correct answer is. So you build in as many questions as you need. You can switch up between what type of questions you want to use. And then after you've done that, you have the results. So on this part, you have allow students to view results page. What I have learned, honestly, this past week is if I go and grade an assessment through myALLSAINTS and I add a comment to students' individual assessments, I have to check the box yes so that they can go back and see the comments that I typed. You can show results page only after all students have submitted at least one attempt. I think that this is beneficial if you're allowing more than one attempt so that a student isn't getting something wrong and then asking other students, what did you get kind of thing. You can show questions on the results page so they know exactly which questions they got right or wrong. You can show them the points they earned for each question. You can show them the correct answer. You can have the amount of time used to complete it, and then the take again button if you've allowed them to take multiple or have multiple attempts. So going back, if you go to assessments, I can see this assessment, and this is what the results page looks like. This is where I can click on the results and see things that they've done once they have submitted the assignment. So here I will show you one from earlier that I've done. Quiz 9.3. So I've already graded this one. So I can go look at Natalie's and see here is what my question was, what was part A, and the answer they provided. Then I put a comment. I did not have the show results page clicked as yes feature. So that's when I learned that they cannot see the comment that I put here for them. So I have to make sure I always say yes on that comment. But you can go in and you can give the score you want, or on problems that are not free response and you have to provide the correct answer, myALLSAINTS will grade it automatically for you. So then it has the grade that they get, and you have to click commit to gradebook, and then this automatically goes into the gradebook. If you want to know what it looks like on the student side, you press preview assessment. And here it shows them the title of the assessment, the description you've given, tells them the total number of questions and how much time they're given if you gave a time limit. It also gives them a countdown timer so they know how much time they have left. So they click begin, and then there's the video that I embedded, and then the prompt that I gave them. Describe the positive time graph. So here's the space that they have. You see that it's just one question shown at a time. They click on next question. Here's the image that I put, and here's my fill in the blank question. So then they're going to type their answer. They can go back to previous question right here. Here's what the multiple choice looks like, and they just click on what the correct answers are. Because I only had one correct answer, it's only allowing me to click one. And that last question was true or false. Then they press submit answers, and it lets them know, are you sure you want to do this? And they have to confirm yes or no.